There's not a lot of things in this world can go along better than bread and butter. And one of them is Gacha community and the drama. They're like well-trained hunting dogs. If anything moves in front of their sight, they'll just immediately hunt it down. Except that they're hunting the drama. I can't believe that internet has been evolving backward to the point that expressing your own preference could cause controversy. And good luck on expressing your own opinion, because you're going to find yourself stuck in the middle of the hurricane. So a couple days ago, a content creator named Tectone, he talks about his opinion on the collaboration between the Street Fighter and a new game called Zenless Zone Zero that is about to be released on next week. So basically he's saying the collaboration between Street Fighter and the Zenless Zone Zero are not a good idea because the fighting game player don't care about the gacha game. And for whatever reason, these opinions become a huge drama. People are making a big deal out of it. I think the main issue is that people took this as he was representing himself as a whole fighting game community, which I don't think that was his intention at all. I don't think himself think that he could represent the fighting game community. It is ultimately an impression from a person, which is obviously subjective. So in my opinion is that it doesn't matter if his opinion is right or wrong because it's ultimately a prediction. It's like me predicting that Tectone will grow his hair by the end of this year. It's a prediction because I pull that out of my ass. Nobody can prove whether is that right or wrong. And more often than not, no matter how logical your prediction is, how much sense it made, it can still be wrong. I think the real problems lies with people are taking his word as a prophecy and make a big deal out of it. And I think the reason behind it is because there are so many huge legitimate drama going on and some of them are factually horrible. Especially on the last few months, and in my opinion, when you were bombarded by so many drama with that levels of intensity, you will probably easily trigger by anything because your mental state is kind of stuck there. Like a veteran who just came back from the war zone, even though they are in the safe space, most of them will probably feel the same levels of anxiety as they were in the war zone. I know that this is not the most appropriate analogy. I'm sorry to compare the angry kid online with the veteran who came back from the legitimate war. I couldn't think of any better analogy to explain it. And I think the other issue is that Tectone's channel do attract audience who like dramas and would induce it. So I would say this type of drama, which is obviously the one that Tectone not prefer, is probably the price that content creator like Tectone has to pay from time to time. Because this is the path that he chooses consciously, which is also successful in grand scheme. And as the flame of the backlash is gusting out from the underground, somebody just doubled down and decide to pour a tons of gasoline on top of it, which is Gatcha Smack. So he makes a post about why he thinks Tectone is wrong, which is totally fine if he made this into a civil discussion, which he didn't. I think the discussion itself doesn't really matter that much. What matters is this little clown emoji. Is the international sign of ridiculing other people. If he cut that clown emoji off, things would have been de-escalated by 50% according to the studies of World Common Sense Association. And after Tectone responded to his post, he made another 30 minutes of videos of why he is wrong again. And it doesn't just stop there. Tectone then made another videos reacting to Gatcha Smack. So basically this 1 hour long video can be summarized into this one sentence. It's like I'm watching two kindergarteners argue why their favorite color is the better one. I think this comment is so accurate about this whole situation, which they totally deserve for how they handle the situation. And Gatcha Smack could have said, oh, this is my opinion, but I think you are wrong on this part and this part. but I respect your opinion. But I also want to be clear that I have pretty good impression in both Gatcha Smack and Tectone. I've been watching them for almost over a year. I do hope from the bottom of my heart that these two of my favorite content creators could sort things out in person, because I don't think this is an issue that is worth it. And fortunately they did while I was editing the videos. So good job to just extinguish this backyard fire before it turned into a wildfire. Actually, Gatcha Smack did try to reach Tectone through the DM, but Tectone missed it. He said he even had 4 managers to read his DM. And that's why Gatcha Smack is kind of mad about this and respond the way he did. So Tectone is kind of wrong here, and he did admit that he is ashamed of it. Plus, they do have the direct phone number to each other. They even met in real life. But if you were to ask me about the opinions about collaboration, which nobody asked me about, but I'm gonna say it anyway. Please drop a like and sub and comment, please. So I do think that Tectone's opinion is wrong. Just because I disagree with Tectone's opinion doesn't mean that I disrespect him as a person. So welcome to the Civil Discussion 101. So I think the collaboration is a good decision. It is the right move, but it's also the most mediocre decision ever. I think it's just a slightly better decision than buckle up your seatbelt when you are in the car. Don't drive when you're drunk. It's like I'm saying, how am I going to be successful on YouTube? Collab with PewDiePie, collab with Kai Cenat, collab with Mr. Beast. And I could pull more out of my ass. But the problem is, why would they collab with me? Which Zenless Zone Zero seems to be figured this out with the Street Fighter already. We just don't know what's going on under the table yet. My point is, you don't need to be a genius to come up with the idea of collabing. All you do is literally write down a list of most popular games on the market and figure out which one would work more than another. Like, they could collab with the Dead or Alive if they want to attract male players who appreciate the Japanese aesthetics of female body physique. Or Overwatch because they have Tracer, right, who double wield the pistol like the Billy. Or maybe like Tekken, Devil May Cry, Nier Automata, and the list go on and on. I think this is a safe business decision overall. I don't see this kind of collab would harm Zenless Zone Zero in any form or any way. It's just the matter of how successful it would be. So why is this a bad idea for Tectone? Allow me explain what happens inside the Tectone's head. So basically, Tectone is a content creator. He got assigned a brand deal to get monetized. And one of many factors that make content creator valuable, aside from having a large number of audience, is the turnover rate of the audience to actually purchase the products of the brand deal, right? So the higher turnover rate you have, the more valuable you are. So naturally, he implemented this assumption to the Zenless Zone Zero. So Tectone's assumption was the turnover rate from the other game has to be high in order to use the marketing budgets effectively. Which in his perspective, the similarity of the Street Fighter and the Zenless Zone Zero is not similar enough to have high turnover rate. The kind of player that Zenless Zone Zero attracted has to be suitable for the game. And Tectone brought up 2 examples as like Genshin should be collabing with Legend of Zelda, HSR should be collabing with the Persona 5. So to put it simple, the quality of turnover rate is more important than the quantity of the fan base. I think in this case, it doesn't matter to the extent that Tectone think it would be. The MiHoYo's assumption is other way around, which is quantity is more important than the quality. And for the levels of popularity that MiHoYo has within the Gacha community, so instead of spending advertisement within the Gacha community, it is a smarter strategy to pan out their audience, to promote their game to people who are outside of the Gacha community. And I do believe that this is the assumption that HoYoverse marketing team is making. And don't forget that Street Fighter doesn't only have a huge fan base, but also a really long history that could realistically bring older players to the game. I'm talking about 30 to 40 years old, which most of them probably never played gacha game. So there is more potential to invest on people who doesn't play gacha game than people who are already playing the gacha game. And I think this is a good strategy for Zenless Zone Zero. I think the assumption of Tectone would have been correct if the game that he's talking about is mid-side game that is not being promoted enough in the gacha community. I do think that Tectone is a reasonable individual, and I do think that he got the assumption wrong because different kind of business need different kind of strategy. Like the way that Toyota sell their car must be different from the way that Lamborghini sell their car. Like strategy that work in one business doesn't mean that it's gonna work in the other business. But to be honest, I'm more fascinated by how people make this such a big deal than the discussion itself. So yeah, that's pretty much it. See you guys.